Today's webinar is on principles and practices of promoting youth voice. This is another in a series of webinars from the Secor Youth Development Initiative. I'm Peter Witt, Professor Emeritus at Texas A&M University, and I'm pleased to be with you today. The unfortunate circumstance is that in many settings, youth feel disconnected. They feel disconnected in their communities from dialogues that happen and occur about them, and they feel disconnected when they don't have a meaningful say in their own future. Too often, youth voice is missing at home, in school, during youth programs, in their neighborhoods, in the cities they live in, and in the public decision-making that goes on about youth and the issues that affect the future of youth. The bottom line is too often youth are not sought out and included as credible voices in determining their own future. The good news, however, is that young people are open and in fact desirous of being involved in their communities, being involved in decisions that go on that make a difference in their own future. Among the issues that youth have found to be interested in are things like health, substance abuse, bullying, the elderly, violence prevention, animal rights, the environment, and I'm sure you can think of others through your own contact with young people. So what exactly is youth voice? Well, voice is consistent with courage. Voice can be the perception and reality that one's opinions are heard, one's opinions are respected, and where appropriate, one's opinions are implemented by other young people and adults. So, what are some of the barriers to youth voice? Why isn't there more youth voice in our society? Well, first, there's the perspective of adults. We're in charge, we run the show, and youth are not seen as mature enough to have a full say in deciding about their own future. Second, there are many structures that promote the kind of disconnection of young people from society. Adults routinely don't include young people in decision-making, and especially decision-making that has to do with the future of young people. Thirdly, it's just a bad habit. For too long, and in most settings, the voice of youth has been ignored. It's hard to break that habit and undertake new ways of doing things. And finally, there are the young people themselves. Young people learn to stay silent. Young people tune out and don't take the opportunity to exert their own power or their own voice. So, youth need to be seen as partners. The development of youth voice is critical to the community, and it's also critical to the individual development of young people as they move forward in their quest to be fully functioning adults. According to Ellis and Caldwell, when adults provide appropriate supports and opportunities, youth participants increase their skills and can expand their voice beyond the boundaries of a youth program into the community. Youth can make a real difference in the everyday happenings of society. And to be sure, there are developmental benefits to youth of their voice being heard, respected, and implemented. The expectations of youth will be communicated and their opinions will be heard. This is important to young people. Young people will feel a greater sense of empowerment. They'll feel a greater sense of being important actors in the creation and future of their own lives. And for most youth, voice doesn't come naturally, so it needs to be learned. It needs to be nurtured as they mature. It's more likely to occur when the circumstances are fertile for the development of youth voice. So another way to look at this is the development of youth voice has the ability to lead to youth empowerment, to youth feeling that they have a greater stake in what is going on. When they feel that stake, there's more likely to be participation. And then once they're participating, there's a greater opportunity that youth will be actually engaged in society, in their own daily lives, in their families, in their communities. There's also an important reciprocal relationship to the fact that communities can contribute to the development and voice of young people. And that in turn can lead to young people contributing back to their communities. The more that youth either contribute to communities and communities contribute to youth, the cycle will be promoted as an ongoing entity. Voice for young people occurs in an environment of trust. Voice can be actualized in a number of different ways. There's voice through doing. In other words, youth initiate and participate through choice and design of not only the programs they participate, but the ways that adults interact with them. Voice is through contact. There's advantages of frequent youth contact with adults such that voice can be heard on the part of adults as it's actualized in youth. There's voice through input. Youth must see the results of their input. In other words, it's not just informing decisions, but also participating in actually making decisions that have to do with their own lives and the lives of others in their community. And there's voice through support. We need to support young people's voice efforts as they try to engage in an environment of trust. One important way that youth voice can be actualized is through community service or service learning projects. Meaningful service opportunities can improve youth's connections to their communities, to job skills, to self-esteem, to their commitment to an organization. But critically, these community service or service learning opportunities can't just be an opportunity to put a few hours in. It has to be real and meaningful work that makes a difference and that young people will know through their involvement they've actually made a difference in their community. So what are the consequences of youth voice? Well, youth will be more likely to advocate for the resources needed to make their interests become a reality. Youth with voice will feel more authentic in their actions if they feel adults will respect their opinions. In other words, youth take ownership and adults actually take ownership of youth's voice. And voice can lead to taking responsibility on behalf of youth, but also on the behalf of adults who feel that in a sense they need to create more opportunities for youth to be active players in their own lives. Youth voice can be important in terms of involving youth in the myriad of things that go on in youth programs, whether it's program planning and development or needs assessment, ways to ensure quality in terms of the program, how to recruit and retain young people and staff, being involved in staff hiring. After all, staff are the future mentors of youth, and it would be good if they could form strong relationships during the hiring process. Voice also can be important to help youth feel connected to their community. I'm sure you can think of other ways as well. So what's the future? Well, we need to engage youth in every community as powerful and purposeful partners in their own development. We need to encourage and educate adults in the community about the potential and value of youth voice, not only to young people, but to the community as a whole. We need to create safe and supportive opportunities for youth voice to occur, throughout every program, throughout every community. And we need to infuse youth voice throughout the structures that affect every young person every day. I hope you found value in our webinar on promoting youth voice. There are additional webinars on our YouTube channel under the C-Corps YDI. See you next time.